Continuing with the topic of healing, another important aspect of the healings of Jesus is the idea that they were attributed to demons. That's where we get the whole idea of demonic possession in modern times. During the times of Jesus, there seemed to be quite a number of demonic possessions. And then Jesus and his followers would proceed on to the villages and perform the exorcisms. So, if this demonic possession was the case, how come today we don't have that many demonic possessions? Of course, we have some alleged demonic possessions and exorcisms and all these kind of sci-fi seen people who claim that they have been possessed by demons, or there are other associations that have been done with this concept, such as the idea of schizophrenia and some other mental disorders, which could imply the idea that there is demonic possession or there is another person living inside someone. Things like multiple personalities, etc. But I believe that when it comes to demonic possession, it's simply another misinterpretation of the ways that the people back then saw the world, including Jesus himself. If we think about Jesus as a being who was quote unquote enlightened, and he was able to tap into different states of mind or different realms, different places. This is a key part in my work. I realized that Jesus is often speaking about tapping into a different world. This is what he meant when he says you have to get into the kingdom of God, into the kingdom of heaven. You have to go there first in order to get anything else. You have to make that communication with the Father, to be in the kingdom, to be above, born in the world of quote-unquote spirit. He was speaking about different realms and different states of mind, and he could tap into these worlds. So if Jesus was indeed an enlightened being, and he was able to see past the physical world into these worlds of spirit, then maybe this demonic possession was something that he saw beyond reality, beyond what we see day to day. As I mentioned in the previous video, this idea in parapsychology of order reading, and these people who have the ability to see and detect certain things about people, about their moods, about their thought patterns, these extra sensory elements or abilities can be truly behind this whole idea of angels and demons and visions and so on. We know that Jesus put a lot of attention into making a difference between this world of quote-unquote of flesh and the world of quote-unquote spirit. He would say the flesh is nothing. Spirit is all that counts. In one of the apocryphal texts, it mentions Jesus saying something along the lines of, when flesh develops spirit, this is a marvel of marvels, because he said that spirit can develop flesh, but when flesh develops spirit, that is a marvel of marvels. He is speaking about the non-physical realm and the physical realm. Our bodies and everything we see in our physical reality actually comes from somewhere else. And now science is slowly starting to unveil these mysteries. But I believe that Jesus was speaking about these realities when he was preaching. Now, if we go back to this idea that perhaps illness comes from states of mind or stress or erroneous thought patterns, as I mentioned before, there's a couple of things that we have to address. We as biological beings, we have these viruses and bacteria and all these little things that are trying to kill us all around the world in every crook and cranny. They've been with us since the beginning, since cellular life started evolving and started forming the first microorganisms. Scientists, they don't know where these came from, if they were before cells or if they developed after cells. But the thing is that they've been all along with us. So it's quite interesting that humans have a system that protects them from these viruses and from these things. These viruses leave a trace encoded in human DNA. It's very interesting to think about this relationship. It almost seems as if there is a tiny little world working outside of us, and we have no intermission into any of this. All these viruses and bacteria seem to have a life on their own, just as our bodies and its defense mechanisms that manage to help us and keep us alive while all of these threats exist outside of us. And while our scientific fields have studied all of this and know quite a lot about all these things, there is little effort and little mind put on the archetypal essences of this. We are basically speaking about wellness and illness, order and chaos. If we think about wellness and providence and everything good and good emotions and good thoughts and all that you can think as positive in your life, we can associate these feelings and thoughts with the idea of perfection, the idea of divinity, the idea of light, the idea of God. And when we think about chaos, when we think about disease, illness, pestilence, stress, anything negative that you can think about, we can start to think about demons and the devil himself and burning in hell and pain and suffering and everything negative that we can think of. But this is a basic aspect in human life, is the idea between order and chaos, which can be translated into good and evil, which can be translated into angels and demons. I think that perhaps when people can see beyond the veil of reality and they go back into the quote-unquote world of spirit, they can see these back layers of reality. It's very likely that this back layer is heavily associated with the subconscious mind. Dr. Carl Jung hypothesized on the idea that we as humans share the subconscious mind, and all the symbolism we get in ancient religions or dreams, etc., comes from somewhere very deep in our subconscious mind, perhaps throughout all of our previous lives, the previous generations. Everything gets encoded and passes on to the next generation. Now, if we think that reincarnation is a possibility, then this makes much more sense, because we are just recycling our experiences and our ideas and all of these bits of information that gets stored in the subconscious mind. Now, there are a lot of people who, through altered states of mind, whether by psychedelics or near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences, etc., they've reported to have seen entities, negative entities, demons. There is that image of the demon being a horned individual, a horned entity. We also have demons in the image of reptiles, of snakes. When you think about this, and if we think about the history of man and how we evolved, we will understand that snakes were one of our main problems when we were evolving and coming from primates to more evolved human beings. Our ancestors would have dealt with snakes, they would have dealt with wild animals, And perhaps this is one of the ways that these images get stored in the subconscious mind. And perhaps this is why when people have these experiences of altered states of mind, they can see images of these entities, of dragons, of all these mythical figures that plague our mythologies and our ancient religions. Also, in these experiences of hell or actual demons that these people report in their experiences, there is often a very strong connection with personal trauma, with personal ideas. I reviewed a lot of these experiences where people go to quote-unquote hell and they see the quote-unquote devil, and there's always something related to their lives, either some failed relationship with their parents or with a loved one. They see their friends, they see very personal things. It often seems as if their mind is trying to solve some personal trauma or trying to figure out personal beliefs about morality and things like that. Throughout these experiences, the people who have religious themes like Jesus or God or angels, they usually report seeing an angel coming to them, or Jesus himself coming to them and rescuing them from these places. People who do not have religious themes, they usually just see light. They usually report seeing or feeling or experiencing a positive energy, a positive consciousness, a positive being, and they often mention the word love. Whether that is true or not, whether it makes any sense or not, it seems that this always happens when they are at the darkest time in their quote-unquote hell experience. So to me it seems that their mind is trying to attune to something, is trying to work something out, either through the psychedelic experience, through the out-of-body experience, through their own subconscious mind having an experience. This happens in dreams, this happens in near-death experiences, this happens in out-of-body experiences, and we have all of these themes throughout ancient religions and even in the scriptures, the Christian scriptures, in the form of quote-unquote visions. So if indeed our thoughts and feelings and emotions create these subconscious images or subconscious representations somewhere, call it the spirit world, call it the other world, call it the dream world, if our thoughts do create something somewhere else than the physical reality that we commonly experience, then it's very possible that a being who is quote-unquote enlightened, or who can see past beyond this veil of reality into this world of spirit, they could see all these thought forms acting as a positive aura or a positive entity, or as a negative one, a quote-unquote demon or evil spirit. It is very likely that this is what's behind all these reports in the scriptures about demons by Jesus himself and by some others who could have these quote-unquote visions, along with the experiences reported through psychedelics, near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences, and even plain dreams. If you're on the path of finding the truth about reality and our purpose as humans on Earth, the information that I have to share concerns you. After a lifetime of research in philosophies ranging from Buddhism to the occult, I've encountered themes and patterns along some baffling information that is beginning to be seriously studied by science. Our Rational Divine Outline, The Ghost of Jesus, is the first iteration of this project, where I analyze the message of Jesus without dogmatism, fanaticism, or religious bias. You can find my work available on Amazon on the link below. If you find this work valuable, consider subscribing, sharing, and following me on social media, as it will help others in the same path to find this information. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.